How's it going, world? This is Tyson Paul from WeOnTheLaughs.com, and today I got a very special guest. She recently just had a comedy special that was released through Comedy Dynamics, and it's probably one of the best specials of 2026 so far. And we get the joy of talking to Miss Kat C. How's it going, Kat? How's it going?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I know, right? It's finally. We've been trying to get you for a while, but I'm glad we got you now. So this is going to be a great conversation. But first, let me start it off with asking you, what made you come up with the title for your special, Perfect Chinglish?
Perfect Chinglish is based on one of my jokes because when I wrote the first special at time, I was thinking about the first special should be my own voice, my own identity, like my cultural background, and then about how people used to laugh about my accent. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a joke about that. People always say comedy comes from tragedy, right? I was like, okay, based on what people said, oh, Kat, you have accent. I was like, no, I do not have accent. I speak perfect English. So that's kind of like the opening line of the whole special. And then I was like, okay, also kind of establishing who I am as a Chinese American. So I think that's kind of like opens the whole premise of special as well.
All right, because like actually, I mean, it's kind of weird that when you call it Chinglish, and so you use like kind of sometimes a derogatory slur and use it to the best of your abilities, and actually made it into a funny title. Did anybody ever try to like look at you weird or try to like steer you away from calling it that, or were you just set to call it that from the jump?
I think, I mean, just like you said, a lot of times, like the jokes, right? You use those jokes kind of get back to how what people said about you. I mean, when people say this to me, they may not have like a bad intention and kind of inspire me. Okay. Also, it's kind of like inspired me to write this joke about how like lots of cultural difference in America. Like people, we have Spanish, they have a Spanglish. Like America, we have it's a country made with immigrants, right? Like Chinese, all different kinds of immigrants. So I think this kind of also represents the voice of America as well. Like everyone has accent. So like I was talking about, oh, people from New York has accent, Boston have accent, like people from Alabama have inbred accent, and stuff like that. It just kind of like inspired lots of people watching this special. Think you are always part of America, and then doesn't matter what kind of accent you have.
Okay. And how, so most comedy specials usually from start to finish, as far as like production wise, take about, especially for a debut special, it probably takes the entire comic's career up to that point. When did you say to yourself, like, all right, it's time for me to come out with a special? And how long was that process from start to finish?
I mean, I wrote those material about like 6 years ago because I was at an improv school called the Nerdist,
Mhm.
which is kind of like one of the like a big improv school. A couple years ago, while I was there, I kind of got into stand-up writing. I haven't been on stage back then. I was just writing because I have lots of jokes. I was writing like some TV pilot as well with my other co-creators, and then they're like, "Hey, why don't you also write those kind of jokes and your own experience as a stand-up jokes?" So when I started getting on stage at a time, I kind of tried out all those jokes. But those jokes, most of the jokes were written years ago, and then I mean, obviously some jokes didn't work out, so I kind of just throw those jokes away. Some jokes I kept, so I get to put in a special. Before I was filming my special, I was doing all those jokes, and
Mhm.
then just want to make sure like the best joke will be in this 45 minutes special.
Okay. So how did you, because I know usually when comics like do the special, because I mean from the special from start to finish, it just feels like it was the like your life's work finally completed, and like everybody got to experience your journey from coming over here to the States and to like adapting to the culture out here and finding your voice, literally finding your voice, and falling in love with a genre that you really weren't accustomed to before and making it into now your profession. Like how, like there had to be some material that I think you wanted to say that you couldn't. So how did you decide what got left off and what got needed to stay?
Yeah, I mean that's such a good question because, like, as you a comedian, nowadays for comedian we're writing, we have so much restriction with our woke culture, with cancel culture. A lot of times you are worried, okay, I cannot say this certain jokes anymore because people may have backlash towards that joke, right? Even like I was talking to another a co-writer. We're writing a TV pilot right now. We have this jokes in the pilot where we want to put this joke in, but we're like, okay, maybe we should go ask the person who experienced this, is it okay to say this joke?
Mm,
Same as for the jokes I've written, lots of the jokes, I feel like I test out the jokes on stage. Even for that joke about Alabama have inbred accent,
mhm,
I want to make sure it's not offensive to some people. And
mm,
then, so when on tour, I kind of test out those jokes, and I also ask the people from those regions, make sure it's not offensive to them. They're like, "Oh, I'm from Alabama. I don't feel offensive. I find it's actually really funny." So then those jokes. This is just one example, and then, of course, some other jokes didn't make to the special. I still feel like one day I probably go back to rewrite it because I think a lot of times how you twist the joke can have different kind of direction. Um, yeah, so because I'm in the process of writing my second one right now, and I wanted to have some jokes we didn't made it to the first special can be made it to the second special.
mm.
But like you said, it's always about how you write the joke, the direction. Sometimes also depends on the climate of the society. Are you okay to say that joke or not?
Yeah, that's perfectly answered. One thing that stands out about your special is actually your fashion in the special. Comedy specials have been known for its iconic fashion. So, how did you decide? I'm sure that was probably one of the most important parts of the process of your special was picking out like what you were gonna wear, like while you were doing your special. Like, how did you like? Did you like go through any inspiration or go and look at other specials and figure out like this is what I need to wear or this is kind of what outfit I was like kind of looking for?
Yes, I actually have several outfits picked out. At that time, I was like, okay, um, I have a go through color pattern as well. We have like LED backdrop and want to make sure like the color pattern doesn't blend in the background. So we have like almost like a 3 to 5 outfits picked out. So finally, I decided to go for this one, and I just feel like the color kind of match the backdrop, and it doesn't it. I mean, obviously, like us like people are talking about nowadays comedians started to becomes more and more fashionable right now. Old school comics, they just wear like certain boring, I don't mean boring, kind of like certain looks. Nowadays, comedian takes a little bit more risk, want
Hmm.
to dress fashion because I feel like it's also about who you are. Because for me, I love fashion, and personally, I feel like that's also part of me, who I am. I think the next special, I'm gonna take an even bigger risk to see how it's gonna go. Yeah, I mean now I look back, it's like I don't like the shoes I was wearing. I wish I could change that.
She's like, I didn't like the shoes. I mean, I know that like sometimes they get deleted in thanks to editing, but like, yeah, like I just didn't like the shoes. But another fascinating thing about your special, which is something. I mean, you're Southern California based, but you did the special in Las Vegas. Um, how do you decide like basically what city to do especially because I know that's really important as far as like having the right audience and having the right feel like so the bright lights of Vegas over the city lights of Hollywood, like how did you come up with that decision?
I mean, honestly, Tyson, if I could go back, I'd rather do my first special in LA because I feel this is more like a home for me. But it
Mhm,
happened to that time, the producers, they are based in Vegas. They're like,
mhm,
hey, why don't you just do your special in Vegas? I mean, it's like a 4 hours drive
mhm,
from LA. Vegas. It happened to be I have doing 4 shows back to back. So we decided to film the 4 shows and pick the best one. So
Mm-hmm.
everything worked out that way.
She's like, so next time. Um, do you have a favorite joke from your special?
Mm, I think my favorite joke is always about my dad because I
Yes.
think that's kind of like establishing the whole premise of my special as well. Like it leads to my own dating experience and who
Hmm.
I. So I think that the joke about my dad definitely is my best joke. Personally, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, not because actually you have a quite a collection of material in it that I was just like, oh yeah, I never really even thought about it like that. Like I never thought about like in China there's a one kid there's a one kid policy, and then I like how you turned it into like I don't even think I was the right kid to be chosen or anything. So, um, I guess my next question to you is you already focused on working on another special. How like this one's still pretty fresh. Is that how did you already hit the ground running for a second special?
Like I mentioned, that those jokes kind of older for me because I personally I couldn't even stand watching the special anymore. Maybe because I already did the joke 100 times, like
Hmm.
500 times those jokes. I was like, personally, I'm sick of those jokes. And then some jokes were written like 5 years ago, and
Mm,
then we filmed this 2 years ago, and
mm,
then after the special were filmed, I was on tour for a year, and I did the same jokes
mm,
again for the whole year. And
yeah.
then I was like, as a comedian, you are just dying to have new jokes, right? You want to kind of like, you want to try some new jokes. So I have
Mm,
those jokes written since the last year. And then obviously, I know those fresh new jokes need to go on stage 100 times before we actually going to film this special. But I'm very excited about those new jokes as well. It's also kind of like, sort of like the growth of me as a comedian, how much I have grown in the past 2 years.
mhm,
It's a new experience as well.
mm. So Asian American comedy is like actually kind of reaching its peak, like
It's
at
so
the
funny you
moment.
said that.
It's
Yeah.
kind of reaching its peak at the moment with so many different Asian American comedians like coming out and actually like being the highlight of like TV shows or like having their own comedy specials or even working like Broadway and stuff. And you're included in that. Like, how does that make you feel to be a part of like that type of history at this moment in time, like in this era?
I I mean, like I feel like I'm very lucky in some way because back in the old times, I remember when we were a kid, you only have several Asian American comedians you can look up to, Margaret Chow, Kim
Hmm.
Jong, like very few. And then nowadays, suddenly, I think with the social media, especially TikTok generation, suddenly pops out lots of like Asian American comedians. People actually think Asians are funny. In the old times, like my dad said, in the old times, people don't think Asians are funny. They think Asians are boring. Most people think, oh, they are just very boring, stern, has no sense of humor. I think our generation sort of started changing that dialogue. How like others, other non-Asian people views Asian because people think of Asian just we are like a book smart, everyone just boring and like nerdy. I mean, just I think that this is like a new voice for Asian American as well. Uh, it's very exciting to see that change as well. Like see how many like amazing top comedians are Asian American these days.
Hmm. And how do you think like in your eyes, like how do you see it like evolving in the next basically 10 years?
I think there's gonna be more and more Asian American community will come out. Um, with like more and more like bigger Asian American community inspire the new generation ones. And I actually found lots of my Asian friends that's super funny.
Hmm.
And even like I have my doctor, he wants to become a comedian now. He
That
started
is
taking classes. He was taking classes at the Flat for Comedy.
so do you think today's comedian is like kind of making it look either too easy or like now people are just more artistic and like expressive.
Yeah, because I feel like the comedy started reach this punk rock, this kind of era right now. In the past, like people just it's comedy, right? Now, like comedians kind of sort of created this punk rock culture now. People think, oh my gosh, comedians are cool. They have fashion sense. They're cool. It's just like a new culture sort of things hits on American culture. It's not just old school comedy anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're oh man, like so I mean obviously you did you did the special like and it was produced by Comic Dynamics. Like in today's like climate, like comedians are like either they're coming out with a special that is like too soon and they just like want to rush and put it on YouTube, or like they kind of waited too late and the material like you said would be like too old and now you have to come up with new material and write a whole new special. But like you picking like somebody as established as Comedy Dynamics to shoot your special, what process is that like choosing somebody like Comedy Dynamics when like you probably could go so many different options?
I mean, obviously, comedy dynamic, they are sort of like king of like producing comedy special at a time. I Before I start working with them, I was doing lots of research. I'm like, hey, I want to work with them. I saw they are also taking risk on newer comedian as well.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, they are seems very open minded. If they feel like your material is good, and then like you mentioned about earlier, sometimes some comedians they said, oh, putting comedy special too soon, right? Some comedians putting special like maybe when you're not ready.
Hmm.
Um, when we're talking about those, also like there are so many outlets out there. Like people can self-produce, put it on YouTube, put it on everywhere, right? Seems like comedy special is not special anymore. It's like everything special out.
Yeah, I mean, I think comedy specials are still special. Do I think it gets oversaturated sometimes? Yes, but also at the end of the day, most of these people, most of the comics that are putting out specials today, this is their first body of work. So, like, if their debut special wasn't good, they probably just need to learn lessons from either not rushing and respect the process a little bit more, and then like their next special will be 10 times better. I'm glad you weren't one of those people. But with being linked with somebody like Comedy Dynamics, I mean, it kind of gives you a confidence in a sense that like, well, I was chosen by them, so obviously I have a lot of good material and a lot of good presence to basically have them like give their stamp of approval. And then also like you said, the Comedy Dynamics has so many different outlets, so it reaches more of a it reaches the world literally and stuff. So rather than like if you're just posting it independently, you might just get in your radius, which I mean the world and most comics radius are completely different. What I would like to ask you is, okay, so you're now starting to tour again and you're actually doing shows like basically like all over the country. Do you have a lot of favorite spots like to do shows, and what is your favorite part of touring?
I think last year I toured in New York and Nashville or Tacoma. I really enjoyed like two coasts. I think Seattle and New York, and some parts of states I'm still trying to get used to it. Like I canceled my show in Atlanta last year because I feel that's not my territory yet. Like see those territories, I'm still trying to develop my fan base there. But I feel like the two coasts, like San Francisco, I do well. Seattle, I do well. New York, I do well.
Mhm.
But so that's why I skipped some parts like Midwest. So this year we haven't really like planned out my tour. I only planned out several shows. Like April, I'm gonna be in Austin because I do well in Austin. Surprisingly, I guess
Mhm.
because Austin kind of like has a sort of like California vibe as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I have like Austin tour planned out, and Vegas is always one of my favorite spots as well. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so far we are still kind of my. I was talking to my agent yesterday because I don't want to put it too much tour this year because I also want to focus on writing TV pilot with some of my co-writers. It's like a comedy series.
Mhm.
It's a new direction I'm trying to head to as well. Because I enjoy the creating part of it, writing story, storytelling. Those are the good parts. as much as I love being on tour, but I feel like being a tour comedian is not my dream. I know some of my comedian friends, they're like, they love being on tour. They just enjoy that kind of lifestyle. For me, it's a little bit harder for me because I enjoy being there. I just get there. But I hate flying. That's why when I go to Texas, I drove there. I didn't even
Mm.
fly because I
Yeah.
hate, I have flight anxiety. For me, it's really
Oh,
hard to get on the flights.
yeah, but you just said like 9 different places that you definitely have to get on a flight to go to.
I know. That's why I was like, when people say, you drove to Texas from California, I said, yeah, I did. Three
Oh,
times.
oh my God.
Three
No.
times I drove there because how much I hate flying.
Oh man, you gotta. Well, the more you evolve, the more you gotta evolve with your fear of flying. You gotta just cure it and stuff. Oh man, it was great talking to you, Kat. If you had to tell somebody why they should watch the special, how would you tell them in a sentence or less?
Um, I think you should watch my special just because it's the original voice of a comic.
Good job. Good job. Well, that was our conversation with Kat C. She has a comedy special out right now called Perfect Chinglish. You should check it out on all streaming apps, whether it be Apple or Prime Video or at Comedy Dynamics. Also, make sure you check her out on tour when she comes to a city near you this year. And Kat, if they wanted to follow you on social media, how would they follow you?
You can find me on TikTok and YouTube under my name, Cat C, CATCE, and Instagram official Cat C.
Got it. Got it. Hopefully, you get a lot more fans and everything like that, even though you already have plenty now. So I just can't wait for people to comment more and more on the special. But it was great talking to you today. Hope to see you soon. Always remember to laugh at Life Cat because it's actually pretty funny. My name is Tyson Paul, and this is Me on the Laughs. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.